Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Hello and welcome to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Craig Sager. Today I'm joined by Hayden Gilbert. We got Max Oborski, Najee Wilkins on the Zoom call. It is Monday. We will have Tim Scott of the GHSA on to talk today. We'll talk about some hockey and also star player Marlee Raymond. She's been on the show before, but man, she's accomplished a lot in the time since. Got Najee on right now. Najee, how's it going?
Going good. How y'all fellas doing?
Doing well. And then Hayden, Max, anything stand out this past week or this week that you're looking forward to?
Did you watch the Final Four over the weekend?
I did. It was pretty wild.
What'd you think?
You know, I think you guys said it right. You guys predicted that this looked like it was going to be the year with the top seeds just being so strong that no one could catch them. And it had that feel for a while. I think we all thought Duke was going to come out and win that game. And, I mean, really, some people are calling it a collapse. I mean, the rebounding to me was pretty crazy. Just seeing a team as good as Duke not being able to get aboard to save their lives, pretty interesting.
It's pretty crazy, honestly. I mean, having like the talent Duke has and having Kaman Maluwak and Konkanupo and Cooper Flagg, I mean, that team gelled together very well throughout the tournament. And until the last 30 seconds on Saturday night, I mean, we thought they'd be playing tonight in the national championship, but Houston just seemed like they wanted it more.
Yeah, and Najee, real quick, what was your sense on that result? Do you think that was as historic maybe as we might think just in terms of a collapse, or do you think it's just Houston going out there and getting a couple balls go their way?
I would definitely say it's a collapse. No disrespect to Houston. They earned that victory. They did a really good job with their full court press, which was giving Duke's problems. But if you're Duke, you're up the entire game for 30-plus minutes. In the last, 33 seconds, you give up a 9-0 run, right? It comes down to guard play. When you look at, no disrespect, Sion James, you look at Tyrese Proctor, they did not give you enough in that game, right? You needed a little bit more from them. The turnovers late, in that game got Houston back in the game. All they needed was like one or two buckets. They go and they end up winning that game. So I think the adjustments by the coach could have been a little bit better for Duke. Obviously, when they went scoreless for over 10 minutes, get the ball to Cooper Flagg, insert your flamethrower Isaiah Evans into the game. He only played 2 minutes. When you're struggling like that, you got to get the ball to your best players, which is obviously Maluwak, Cooper Flagg, Konkanupo, or maybe even Isaiah Evans.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, a couple things make it seem like a collapse to me. One, the fact that they couldn't even get the ball in bounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Two, the lead evaporated from not only just collapsing and then losing on a last-second shot. It's like they ended up having to take the last-second shot themselves, which is crazy considering how much. Hayden, we haven't heard from you. Just your quick thoughts.
It felt like towards the end of the game that it felt like they lost a lot of confidence. Everyone lost, besides Cooper Flagg, lost a lot of confidence in themselves throughout that Duke team, and it felt like they were holding the ball too long. They just weren't willing to take shots when they needed to take shots.
Yeah, and just quick predictions, you guys, for the championship game.
Oof. Someone else.
Florida.
Florida. I think Florida's going to win.
I'll have to go with Florida. I think they're just playing too good of basketball, and it's been consistent throughout full games and throughout the entire tournament.
And obviously if they have a lead at the end, they are not going to try to take the foot off the gas. They know what will happen if they do that. What a crazy result, though. We'll see who returns for them, though. But, all right, we got some fast break headlines. Najee, you sent these over to me. I was looking at them. Some pretty good stuff, starting with Kel, who's obviously going to be in the Corky Kel Kickoff Classic this year. Talk about Jalen Williams a bit.
Yeah, man. So he's an underrated guy. I still think, even though he's a 3-star prospect, very physical defensive back, has continued to get better. He transferred over to Kel last year and has taken that step forward in his career. Said he made his decision on Wednesday, but officially announced his commitment over the weekend to On3. And Chad Simmons says one of the biggest reasons why I chose them was how I related best to Coach Dillingham and the entire staff. They showed the most genuine love, and they really prioritized me. I like how they have a plan for me, too. Williams will get back on campus officially for a visit on May 2nd. So I think it's huge to get him this early, especially with him not even being there for an official visit yet. And it talks to the plight and how good Arizona State's becoming, right? Made the quarterfinals, gave the Texas Longhorns a really big scare this year in that game. And some will argue that they should have won. So obviously they won't have Cam Scotterbo coming back, but they're going to have the pieces moving forward and the coaching staff in order to be right back in that conversation again. And then you get a guy like this on your back end, you feel really good moving forward.
Yep, and Kell will be a fun team to watch, and I can't wait for that Kell-Cambridge game. Those Cambridge receivers going up against Kell's secondary, that will be hopefully a game we'll televise maybe. All right, headline 2, Buford hands Wesleyan his 3rd loss of the season in a high-scoring affair. Camden Clark scored the game winner Friday, and Buford pulled out a thrilling 13-12 win in OT over Wesleyan in a matchup of reigning boys lacrosse state champs. Buford won last year's Class 7A title, and Wesleyan won last year's title in the Class A through 4A. Buford, now 9-5, was led offensively by Clack, who had 7 goals. Meyer Stovall, 2 goals, 2 assists. Drew Maloney, 2 goals, 1 assist. Peyton Riddle, 1 goal, 1 assist. Logan Moreland also scored, and Caden Cargyle had an assist. He also contributed. Colton Crawford, Matthew Ingram, Josh Truelove, Grayson Crawford, Sam Archer, and Stovall stood out on defense, along with Buford goalie Matthew McCoy. Najee, real quick, just what do you think about Buford's season after they won the title last year and this win?
They're so hard to get a gauge on. Like, I have them so high in the rankings that just released in the boys lacrosse, but they've beaten some really good opponents this year. Wesleyan is my number 3 team in Division 1. Very good, only 3 losses all year, and they play teams very, very, very close. So in my humble opinion, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do, moving forward for them. But Buford is a very talented team.
Perfect. All right, Naj, we got another flip recruiting story for headline 3.
Yeah, so Jontavius Wyman, he flipped from Georgia to Miami. Obviously, one of the biggest flips over the weekend. There's some buzz around this over the past few months with him, creating that relationship, obviously, with Miami and their coaching staff. And really, the big key here is Zach Etheridge, their defensive back coach. He says, I feel like it's going to be a great being part of a program and being coached by him and some of the other great coaches, Wyman said to Wiflong. Coach Zach Etheridge has been recruiting me for a minute. It's going to be great playing under him. So, obviously, that was kind of the telltale factor. Miami, too, was a team that struggled last year in terms of their secondary and moving forward. Really good pass rush, but could not contain on the back end. So, you get kind of a two-way star, coming to, obviously, the 305. I think it's huge for Coach Cristobal, landing an elite player like this. I mean, a guy that's generational, in my humble opinion.
And, Hayden, any thoughts on this flip?
I mean, I think it makes sense from a personal perspective. When you look at so many players nowadays just kind of commit somewhere and say, well, I'll transfer out after a year, maybe 2. I think when you look at this, I'm going to go, instead of going to Georgia and sitting on the bench for 2-3 years, I can go to Miami. Maybe I'm not going to play a ton my freshman year, but I can go to Miami. I can play some my freshman year. I can be a starter by my sophomore year, and I can, instead of having to transfer out and be one of these guys that's kind of trying to find a home after a year or 2, I can go in there and I can spend my entire career there and be developed and understand that system and possibly be able to move forward into the NFL with a better understanding of how to play the position.
What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I also agree with Hayden. It could be really about playing time and that sort of thing. I mean, Georgia's bringing in guys such as Todd Robinson and Jonte Gilbert as well on that back end of the defense for the 2025 class. So in reality, it could just be him looking for playing time elsewhere in Miami, and I think he can find that within the first 2 years.
Absolutely. All right, I'll take headline 4. Houston County goes 2-1 in a tough series of games, defeating top 5 nationally ranked Etowah. A great finish to the Battle of Bartow for the Bears. They dropped game 1 5-2 to Stony Brook out of New York, a defending state champ, and then won 2 with a 5-1 win over Etowah, and then a 9-6 win over East Coweta, taking that tough doubleheader. Now it is time for them to reset and play for region championship this week versus Lee County. Najee, a team finally was able to take down Etowah. What do you think about this win for Houston County as the number 1 team in 5A?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, they're just showing really how good they are, right? If you go to Max Prep's national rankings, they are the number 2 team in the country. The fact that they won that by over 3 runs says a lot about the defense. Obviously, we talked to Coach Hoppers a few weeks ago. We talked about their pitching, their bullpen, and how good it is. You're seeing that, being able to slow down a really elite batting team to only 2 runs. They definitely are in that championship conversation.
And a big reason, one of it for Houston County's success is this next headline. Najee, talk about it.
Yeah, Houston County outfitter Kendall Jackson, obviously a really good player for them. He broke the single-season stolen base record with 47. Obviously, you can see here, congrats to Kendall Jackson on breaking his own single-season stolen base record that was previously 39 with his 40th to 47th of the season and counting. I mean, he's been phenomenal. Shout out to him. Obviously, a great player for them. They all obviously have great batting as well, but stolen bases, come on, man. That's his easy manufactured offense for them. And the fact that they have this going into the postseason where it's right around the corner speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling that in high school baseball, we're seeing a lot more stolen bases than we're seeing in MLB. Seeing that Walker game this year where they had like 17. Maybe that's because the catchers don't have the same arm as MLB, but what are you noticing just about this attention to detail these teams have to just advance the bases, Hayden?
I think when you look at it, when you trying to get that runner to scoring position, and you're dealing with high school kids, you're dealing with kids that are going to have bad games, getting a run earlier, just getting a guy into scoring position where one hit's going to get him home, and you're not as likely to see it. It's a struggle for a lot of MLB catchers to consistently get that ball to second place or second base. So when you feel like you can have that guy that can get there, I feel that having the ability to easily get that run is something that lots of these coaches they want to get that early lead, and they want to, because once you get that early lead, it's so much easier these kids are confident they can play looser. There's not this fear of, well, if I strike out here or if I mess up here, we're going to lose, because you already have that lead.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me real quick, so Houston County has Kendall Jackson, 47 stolen bases already. That's crazy. That's like 2 a game. But then you have Pope. You got Houston County and Pope, number 1 and 2. They have John Stutzer, who not only has half his hits been extra base hits this year, he's also broken, I believe, the Pope stolen base record for his career in this season. So a lot of speed on these teams where they can get runners in scoring position, and those guys have incredible speed around the bases. So interesting stat, but congrats to Kendall Jackson for sure. Well, that wraps it up for our Fast Break headlines. We'll be back on the other side with our BSN Weekend Recap.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, it's the time for the BSN Weekend Recap. We're going to talk about the Georgia High School basketball players in the Final Four on the boys and girls side, men's and women's. Najee, this is a pretty impressive list. Where do you want to start with it? And maybe what the trend is on where these players are coming from within the state.
Let's start on the girls' side. I would like to start with South Carolina, if we can, a little bit about Raven Johnson and obviously Sanaa Fagan. I thought, obviously they got bum rushed. I know UConn won. Shout out to Paige Booker. She's been through so much in her career. Just her ability to go out as a national champion speaks a lot about her. But Raven Johnson, Sanaa Fagan, two really great players from that metro Atlanta area, right? Westlake being close to Atlanta, Forest Park, kind of close to where I am, about 20 minutes from me. But they both are great pillars of what that South Carolina program is. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what Raven Johnson does going forward. We know she's obviously already won national championships, but she's that quintessential point guard for Coach Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks. She's already pondering potentially even coming back because she just doesn't want to go out the way they went out. And it's an eye thing on the interior. I mean, she was giving those girls the business inside. They had no answers for her. She's obviously had a great career with obviously South Carolina, and she's going to be obviously a great prospect to watch in the W as well.
Yeah, and real quick, just you talked about South Carolina coming up a little short, but man, they've had such a strong run over the last several seasons. I think they've probably been maybe the most consistent program year after year. So how do you think that's prepared them? Obviously, Georgia playing in Metro Atlanta helped them excel at this level, but just South Carolina, what they've been able to do coaching-wise.
I think you look at Dawn, she's an elite recruiter. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to bring in top talent. And sometimes you'll see players like a Raven Johnson or Fagan who they're rated, but they could be like kind of diamonds in the rough. She's able to get the most out of the talent. And how it speaks to Georgia, there's so many great players that come through this state just in basketball. We always talk about the boys' side, but we never talk about the girls' side. Like you look at 26 class, got 5 top rated players in the 247 rankings for the girls alone. Kate Harper is the #1 player. You know what I'm saying, in the country. We look at 247. So Raven Johnson, Fagan, I mean, Georgia knows how to develop talent at a high level, and they also play in these EYBL circuits, 3SSB circuits, where these girls are going against top competition, and that when they go to these big-time universities like a South Carolina or UConn or wherever it may be, they're ready to go.
Yeah, and real quick, let's just talk about the future. You mentioned some of these big names that are still playing right now, but the last couple seasons, do you feel like on the girls' side of the GHSA, we're going to be looking at the Final Four in the years to come? It's going to be loaded with these names.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it might be a little bit harder for 6A for when you look at Mill Creek and Isabella Ragone, and what she has to go through. Obviously, Collins Hill has another highly rated player as well. But no, when you look at some of these top girls playing on these teams, they definitely going to be in that conversation. Sienna Dennis, I think, should be ranked in 2027. She probably will be before it's said and done. She'll be in another Final Four after winning the title this year. But 100%, these girls are top level. They definitely will be playing for bigger things down the line.
All right, and then let's go to the boys' side. Let's start with Florida. Let's start with Will Richard, Woodward Academy. Najee, what just impresses you about what he's been able to do for the Gators?
This is a phenomenal two-way player. Doesn't always need the ball in his hands to be effective. And different points of that game, obviously against Auburn, they struggled a little bit offensively, but he was a guy that was able to get those steals. And you've seen Elijah Martin with that nasty poster over 2 people. Just things like that helps ignite a team and get them going. So his level on the defensive side of the ball has been spectacular, and it's the reason why I'm taking Florida tonight to beat Houston. I think with his ability to defend at a high level, score the basketball, and also be able to distribute, I think they're going to be good to go tonight. And you're going to see it against the very talented L.J. Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, all those players that they got. Will Richard's going to be one to watch in this one. X factor.
Yeah, and then Max, what stands out about Will to you? Just his style of play and consistency, the high shooting percentage, all that.
For sure. I think he is the perfect complement to what Florida has in Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin as well. I feel like Will Richard is someone who really can just go get you the ball and can go dive on the floor, make the hustle plays that everybody needs. He doesn't need the ball in his hands like Najee said, but he is very capable of taking over a game with his defensive ability and his ability to rebound and make a difference as well.
And Hayden?
I think when I look at how he plays, like the game against Auburn wasn't particularly one of those games where he 30 points or 20 points or even 15 points. He only had 7. But when you look at what he's able to do and his understanding of what's important, what his role needs to be tonight, it's not the same every night. He scored 30 points against Georgia. But when you look at that, he understands of, hey, my role tonight may not be to score 15, 20 points. It is to play really good defense, make those hustle plays, and just play as hard as possible and understand what I need to do.
And then we'll go to Auburn in a sec. But Najee, what stood out to you on the boys' side of the tournament this year, just in what's working, where you think these teams are looking for in the future? And then, as they were saying, some of these guards that are getting the hustle plays, not necessarily trying to score 20 points a game, What do you think the formula for success has been?
I think the formula is you got to have guys that have experience for one, and I think two that they can be efficient with their touches. I think that's going to be a key point. You look at Walt Clayton Jr. as an example, 11 for 18, 5 8 from 3 on 34 points. That you can't get more efficient than that, right? Look at LJ Cryer the other night, 26 points on 5 and 9 shooting from 3. When you have that efficiency and being able to score at a high level without needing so many touches, that is kind of what they're looking for. And you got to be able to defend, right? There's going to be stretches and lulls in the game you can't score, and that's what makes this Florida team great. They have highly capable wings, 6'5", 6'6", 6'4", 6'7", that can defend at a high level, and that keeps them in games and has them on the brink of a championship.
And then, Max, you know a lot about Auburn. You're a Bama fan. You've seen them this season. What's your thoughts just about these 4 names on Auburn, kind of what they're doing as a program?
Well, Miles Kelly came in from Auburn, from Georgia Tech, and made an instant impact to their team this year. It was a perfect complement to their guards, to Hod Pettiford and whatever else they had going on. But I think Dylan Cardwell as well was a good complement to Broome, as well as he can crash the glass while Broome scores and goes and plays the 4 as well. Cardwell really would crash the glass and just kind of be there for the lob or anything else they needed on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Yep, and then obviously Duke also fell in the Final Four, but you got Sion James from Lanier, Cameron Sheffield from Chattahoochee. In terms of these names we mentioned from Georgia, how many do you guys feel like are going to be able to go on to the next level? How many are returning and as players to look forward next year?
You want to start out?
I mean, I think it's a lot harder to say than in years past. Before NIL, before players were able to make money in college, I'd say the majority of them would at least go into the draft, and even if they weren't going to be drafted, they'd go and be undrafted, and they'd take the money and go overseas or play in the G League. Now it's a lot hard to say because a lot of these guys are making, at the very least, high 6-figure salaries through NIL, and moving forward with this new Congress thing they're trying to get passed, that's going to give schools $20 million to spend on all of their sports. It's hard. It's a lot harder to say because, well, I don't feel like all these guys are going to be in the NBA. They're all going to be. These schools are going to try to keep them on the rosters and try to and are going to pay them to stay.
Yeah. And you were talking about Miles Kelly transferring over. Najee, what's your thought on the transfer portal for basketball?
Yeah, it's insane. Over 1,000 players in the portal. You got guys committing every day. Trey Donaldson. Obviously, Alabama just landed a really good guard, Jalil Bethea from Miami. I think he's going to be a great addition to their program and what they're trying to do. But to Hayden's point, I do want to address that too with the portal and things like that. When you have NIL, it's like almost, I don't want to say NBA is not as enticing, but when I can stay in the NCAA and make 1.5 to 2 million, and I'm a top end player, compared to making 500 to 600, maybe at the most at the high end 800,000 in NBA, I'm going to take the college route all day. I play less games and playing 32 compared to 82, right? And I have the ability to continue to develop and fine tune my game. So then when I'm ready for my NBA shot, I can. So that makes the most sense. But yeah, the portal's crazy. You're going to see more and more additions for top end programs, and yeah, it's going bananas right now.
Yep, Max, real quick.
And I just think, Najee, just picking back off what you said earlier, these guys that are more experienced, it's kind of changed in well as where they were looking for the younger guys, the 18-year-olds in the draft. I feel like these guys are your Walter Claytons, your LJ Cryers. Those guys are becoming way more valuable in the draft just solely based off of that experience. I mean, you look at what LJ Cryer and the rest of that Houston team was able to do against Duke the other night. Duke may have had the more talent, but that experience really came to clutch in the end for them.
Do you think that was an accident? I mean, they've been saying that they want the college to be more developmental, but do you think it's just manifested that way where these guys are more experienced and it just shows?
I feel like with them getting more players coming back to school based off that NIL, I feel like they're getting that experience that is needed for the next level as well.
Yep, well, interesting trends for sure. Thank you so much, guys. We'll be back on the other side. We'll catch up with Tim Scott of the GHSA.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we will catch up with the GHSA's Tim Scott. How's it going?
Man, how you doing?
Doing great. So I want to start off with what I see, obviously, on the GHSA website. You guys have changed your logo. This is the National Donate Life Month.
Yes.
Pretty good stuff. This is about just how important it is to be a donor on all types of things, the transplants, the tissue, organ, eye. Talk a little bit more about that partnership.
Again, it's really good, with the National Federation and what they mean and what it means to us, and just to know that we give back, and we're teaching young people that, hey, you give back and you have buy-in and that kind of thing. So I think it goes a long way. Of course, each family has their own beliefs and what they want to do, but we encourage folks just to think about it, and it could mean a life, literally, to other people.
Certainly. So that will be going on all month. You guys have changed the logo for it. This is also spring break. I know you guys had a big meeting, I think, a little over a week ago. You'll have one coming up. What has been maybe learned or developing in this period?
Well, last week was spring break for a lot of the state. Now this week we got spring break for other members, and we're getting ready for Sunday. This coming Sunday, we'll have our executive committee meeting, and with the different committees. The eligibility committee will be meeting. The reclass committee will be meeting. I can't remember. I think maybe the cheerleading committee. Anyway, all these committees are meeting on Sunday afternoon and talking about possible proposals and how they want to present to the executive committee on Monday. And that meeting starts at 9:00. A lot reclass. Obviously, there's no vote. We're not ready for that. Kurt Miller, our reclass chairman, will give a brief to everyone in the meeting on Monday where we are with reclass and the different things that we're discussing. We even had another proposal sent to us this week that we'll be looking at. Again, we've got a few months before we have to make a decision. So we're still in the discussion stages and trying to make sure we do what's right for all our schools and that all of our members feel comfortable with it.
And so we've been talking about the competitive balance model. I guess the opponent to that proposal would just be to keep the existing structure, but what other ideas are being discussed at this point?
Yeah, well, I think they're really looking, right now in the proposal that what we're doing currently, not the proposal, but what we're doing currently in divisions 1 through 3, we're pulling private schools out for playoffs. And we're trying to get away from that and put everybody back together. That is one of the things that we're discussing, and how does that look and what can we do to try to make that happen? Private schools are member schools just like everyone else. And, we want to make sure that we treat everybody the way we should. And so that's one of the things that the reclass committee is discussing is how can we get everybody back together in a playoff situation?
Yep, and then during these meetings, there's also things like you said, the cheerleading committee, all these different sports that are talking about their own rules and potential changes. But for the rest of this school year, we have this big meeting coming up on Sunday. When are the reclassification decisions made typically?
Well, we would wait until we get FTE counts in October of 2025. So you're talking about next fall. Once we get those from the DOE, then we would start looking at reclass. Right after that, try to have something together in December or very early January at the very latest.
And then do you expect any major changes in the FTE numbers this year? Or, there's haven't been too many new schools open, I feel like, this year.
Well, and you have certain areas that are growing, so you'll have some schools that will do that. But overall, I think we're pretty level. We're not going to be too large, but we'll just have to wait and see where we end up next next fall. But certainly we've got some time to discuss some things. We had the summer to work on some stuff with the reclass committee, and we'll just see where we end up. And again, our goal, and I think the Kurt and the reclass committee's done a good job of keeping the main thing, and that's doing what's right for our schools.
And then in terms of the number of classification, that has actually been pretty consistent over the last several plus years. There's the same number of champions, but obviously a different look with the separate private, the Division I, Division II. Do you feel like, I guess, that number 8 is still good for sports like football, basketball?
Well, it definitely next year will be for sure. But part of the conversation with the reclass committee is taking that, if you put the private schools back in with all the other schools, instead of having 8, you're looking at 7 now, so we'll just have to see where we end up.
And then I want to ask you about potential new sports, a sport like hockey. Obviously, some states up north, other parts of the country have it as a sport. There's interest about it. There's club teams. Obviously, there's college programs. Do you think hockey could ever be adapted as a sport, or maybe something like field hockey?
I don't know that could be possible. I will tell you right now, the biggest requests that we get, and we start out on a club level at the schools, and then we want to make sure we have at least 32 teams or 32 schools participating before we sanction an event. And so we have had some conversation on Frisbee golf. We've had some conversation about pickleball and bowling. Those are 3 that people request. We just at this time don't have enough schools to move forward with a 32-team bracket.
Yep, and then some exciting news in March. That was the deadline for the grant programs to add flag football. A lot of new programs have been able to get established. What's your just thought on how quickly they're able to hit the ground running in that sport compared to some others? It seems like once they get the coach in place, once the girls come out, they can have success year one.
Oh, yeah, and one of the things that really helps with that is our relationship we have with the Falcons, and what they have done for the Georgia High School Association is nothing short of amazing. We appreciate that partnership. And being able to help those teams. A lot of those teams would have to be fundraising to try to raise that kind of money. And so when you're starting a team and you get $10,000 to help you begin, that may take you a year ahead, just on the fact that it takes time to raise money to get things started sometimes in a building. So super excited about what girls flag football is doing, and then really excited to see the new division. We're adding a division next year because of the number of teams. We've added, I think, 32 to 35 more teams this upcoming year than we had this past year.
Interesting. So when will that decision be made on what the new divisions are going to look like?
We have got it out there. Ernie Yarborough has been working on it, and he has posted that. I'm not sure if it's on the website yet, but he did send it out, I think, last week to all the coaches and had them look at it. They had a few coaches appeal where they were at and want to, change their region that they were playing in. And we're still doing that by geographical areas because we're, I think, up to about 302 teams right now out of the 457 schools.
Gotcha. And then real quick, Mary Sherman, that happened last month. She joined the GHSA. It looks like this year you guys have been adding a lot of new leadership positions, some media positions also. Are there any opportunities maybe to continue to expand before this year is over?
Oh, I think we're pretty solid where we're at. We've had a few of the employees that have taken a little lesser roles, and so we've hired some people to kind of pick up that. But people like Ernie Yarborough, of course, Dr. Hines, Don Cord, they all do a great job for us, and are staying really active, and we appreciate their guidance and leadership as they help us move forward. But excited to have Mary on staff with us, and she'll begin probably the 1st of July.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us. I think you'll be off next week at spring break, but some busy weekends. Good luck on Sunday.
All right. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great one.
All right, well, there goes Tim Scott in the GHSA, and we will definitely look at those new divisions for flag football shortly and update you guys on that. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the other side with Alex Carey.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm joined by Max Waborski, and we've got Alex Carey on right now to talk some hockey. Alex, how's it going?
Doing all right, Craig. Thank you guys for having me.
You bet. So talk to us just about how you got started playing hockey in Georgia, what that was like, just playing in a state where obviously football is very popular here, but you played competitively hockey that whole time.
I did, yeah. I got started in Georgia. My mom and dad are both from up north. My mom from Cleveland, or my mom's from Pittsburgh, sorry. And they have a family friend up there that got me into skating, and I just took that and ran with it. I was in 5th grade, and then started playing roller hockey at South Gwinnett Athletic Association, and that slowly became a transition into ice hockey. I started playing competitive high-end ice hockey when I was a freshman in high school and played all the way through.
And then, Alex, if you just kind of want to go into it, I mean, I know it's not as common around the state of Georgia, but what was it like playing high school hockey in Georgia as well?
High school hockey in Georgia was awesome for me. I had a really good time. They play in what's called the Georgia Student Hockey League. It's like a club sports type of league. And it's, all your big name high schools, Milton, Walton, Brookwood, Collins Hill, you name it, they all have an ice hockey team. And if you wanted to get into it and you go to a school that doesn't have one, they offer a wager or a voucher so you could go play somewhere else.
What's your overall thought just on maybe the growth of hockey you've seen since you were playing in high school to where it is now and maybe the future?
I think the opportunity for growth is definitely there. It sort of feels like it's plateaued a bit in the Atlanta area since I stopped really playing competitively. But I think the future is very bright. The Athens Rock Lobsters just became a team up there in Athens. There's obviously discussion about an NHL franchise relocating to Atlanta. So I think that the future is very bright for hockey in Georgia.
Yeah, and obviously this was just a huge weekend. Alex Ovechkin breaking the all-time scoring record. This is really historic, beating Wayne Gretzky 895 goals. I mean, how significant is this milestone? And I mean, what do you think this means just in terms of the all-time great discussions?
I think that this puts Alexander Ovechkin squarely on top of the all-time greatest goal scorer in NHL history. This wasn't known or thought to be possible. The next closest guy is Sidney Crosby, and he's got 622 goals, so he needs 250 more to get it, and that's just not going to happen. There's only one active player with a chance to do it, and this will help put some perspective on it as well. It's this kid from Sedona or Scottsdale, Arizona, Austin Matthews, who's got 398 goals in 623 games, which means that he has to maintain that same scoring pace for 778 more games, and that's about 9.5 seasons. He would need 50 goals, 52 goals a season for another decade to get anywhere to even have a shot at it. And there are only 3 players in the NHL, the history of the NHL, to ever have 9 50-goal seasons. That's Alexander Ovechkin, Wayne Gretzky, and Mike Bossy.
And then watching that moment where he scored the goal, I mean, it's a pretty incredible goal. I mean, really far out. We got the highlight right here. See, just flying into the back of the net, diving, the celebration. What did that moment just mean to you, just someone that has played the sport and just seeing that excitement?
It was something else for me. Alex Ovechkin's been dominating in the NHL since I was in middle school, and I'm a full-on adult now. I never thought I would see anybody ever get close to that 894 number, and all the news and everything when he got to 800, it was a big deal. And then they basically had a countdown, all right, 801, 802, all the way up. And to see it live, to watch it live was, one of my favorite hockey memories, actually, just something I'll never forget.
Yeah, and, I mean, he obviously had that injury he recovered from also. That put a pause on this pursuit to the all-time championship, or sorry, the all-time record. I want to ask you just about the hockey community in general, though. You saw how excited everyone was just to witness it, congratulating him. What was the hockey community like just being able to share that sport with the other guys?
The entire hockey community was really excited to see all this happen. It was a great day in the NHL, the way that they did the stop the game and do the ceremony and really do the passing of the torch of the all-time great goal leader. Everybody, again, nobody ever thought this was possible, but everybody was equally as excited. If you saw in that moment, he's in Long Island, New York, right there. He's not at home. He's not anywhere. But look at the entire crowd goes insane, and then he gets to shake. His entire team comes out, hugs him, and then he goes by and shakes the hand of every single one of his players and every single player on the opposing team. The hockey world was elated to see this happen yesterday.
And then, Alex, you mentioned how you played high school hockey in the state as a high schooler, but what would be one way you would think just to get hockey more prevalent in Georgia as well?
I think it starts with making it more accessible to everybody, right? So, when I was growing up, it was, and I believe this still to be the case, it's a really expensive sport. So the ice time is expensive, the equipment is expensive. If we could make it more accessible to everybody, I think it would do wonders for helping the sport grow. And then you get other brands like, say University of Georgia that could house a Division I hockey team and make it, I think the more people we expose to it, the better I think that hockey will grow in Georgia.
And then, Alex, last question, just for me at least, where do you think Ovechkin kind of leaves off when his career is all said and done?
So, that's a tough one to say. Really, he is fourth in scoring fourth in goals in the NHL right now, and if you're scoring 40 goals in a season, it's kind of hard for you to stop. So, there's no telling. The marker just gets further and further away with each goal that he scores. He solidifies that record, and I don't think anybody will ever get it. I don't think anybody will ever get to it. But I would like to see him get to, let's say, 925. If he got to 925, I think that would be cool.
Certainly. And then you're talking about just the price of the equipment. Obviously, yeah, you got to have all the pads, the right stick, all of that, but I mean, it seems like it's a pretty intimidating sport just to go out and give a chance. But in your experience, do you feel like a kid at a young enough age, if they are really interested, they can pick it up and learn it and have fun with it like you did?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been the most rewarding experience that I could have had growing up. I got so much out of it in terms of growth as an individual, as a hockey player, as a man. You learn a lot of lessons playing hockey, especially doing it at a high level. So I would say if you want to get into playing hockey, just put your skates on, go skate around in the street with a stick and a puck, and just see where it takes you. It's a really, really fun game, a really rewarding game.
And then have you seen that just as a conversation starter, when people ask where you went to school, what your interests were, when you tell them that you played hockey, do they kind of look at you different knowing that, oh, this is a pretty tough guy?
In time, the first question I get a lot is, do I still have all of my teeth? And I do. I still have them all. So that's the icebreaker for people. Oh, did you fight and did you lose any of your teeth? And yes to both, or yes to fighting, no to losing teeth.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us, talking some hockey. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a good one.
You as well. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our final segment with Marlee Raymond. All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm joined by Hayden Gilbert. We've got Marlee Raymond coming on the show. What a treat, one of the best soccer players in the country. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Doing fantastic. So Marlee, we had you on the show a couple of years back. You were underclassman. you were thrown into the starting role, you were becoming a leader early, but you've actually decided to reclassify and get to college early. Talk about that process, and was that a goal initially?
Initially, it wasn't a goal. I talked with my college coaches where I'm going to Penn State, and they thought it was best for me, developmentally wise. And also, it's like starting where you're going pro when you're much younger. So for me, going pro is like my main goal. So I thought like if I were to graduate earlier, I would become a pro when I'm younger.
Absolutely, and you've had that experience. I believe that was that Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes.
And I mean, how has that been just competing for those national teams, and how has that helped you for your goal to go professional?
It's helped me in many ways. It mainly made me more competitive, and it raised my level of standard. Every practice, I have to come in like ready to work and just ready to do my best. Because every day is like a chance to get better.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. So, I mean, you reclassify, that takes a lot of work, having to get the academics in order, prepare yourself physically, but then you're also a multi-sport athlete. You're getting it done in flag football, a guard on the basketball team. So talk about that decision, just as busy as you are, as talented you are as soccer, just to play those other sports too and just pack even more on your schedule.
Well, the reason I played those sports is because I do love playing them, and it might not be me playing them in the collegiate level, but I still plan on like continuing to play them like at my college where I'm at for like smaller clubs or whatever, just for fun because I do love the sport of basketball and flag football.
And then just talk to us about this West Forsyth team that you're a part of. Y'all are so great. Y'all won 3 titles in the past 4 years. You were a part of last year's state title. Just talk to me about how special this team is.
This team is really special. We're able to just come together as one and play as one. We move the ball amazingly, and we're all like a family, so that really shows on the field. As you can see, we like celebrate for each other. It's not individual. We're like one. We support each other in every way, even if that's on the field or off the field. We just have endless support, and that really just like shows on the field.
And then you're a defensive star on this team, but obviously you've been scoring goals also. Where do you see yourself playing at the next level, and how has your role on West Forsyth maybe shifted where you found your strengths are?
So in college, I think I'm going to be playing outside back and center back, which are my main positions I do play. In high school, we take on a lot of roles. Like one position doesn't do one thing. Like the forwards aren't just supposed to score. Like our midfield can get into our attack, and so can our defense. So we just work together as a team, really. So yeah.
And Marlee, you're one of the best players in the country. We've already talked about that, but I mean, you guys are going up against some really quality opponents this season, challenging region, challenging schedule. I mean, what's your thought just of the talent you guys have faced this year, just the overall ability of Georgia high school soccer?
I think there's a lot of talent amongst all the high schools. It's pretty spread out, I would say. There's some schools that have like more competitive players, but overall, I think it's a very competitive environment, and it really pushes like young athletes to be better and like work together on the field.
And before I throw it to Hayden, what's been maybe your favorite team to face, or the team that, I mean, has really challenged you guys and just created a tough environment, or maybe some of the teams that have been a really big challenge these last few years?
I would say last year in our state playoff game, the hardest team we played was Buford, which we played them in the final. They're really talented. They obviously know how to play soccer. They played at a really high level. So I would definitely say that's my favorite team to play, and also the most competitive team we've played.
And then just one final question, just in a year from now, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself a year from now in your first year of college?
I see myself making an impact at Penn State on the team. I see myself playing, getting minutes, and getting in the game, and just really making an impact for my team.
Yeah, and obviously you want to go professionally too. That's an ultimate goal, but your next stop will be Penn State. So what about the Penn State program are you excited about, some of the other girls you'll be teaming up with there?
There's a lot of talent headed to Penn State. Our recruiting class is actually ranked in the top 5 in the nation. I'm just really excited to get the opportunity to play with such amazing players and be under such a great coaching staff.
And then talk a little bit about your training just outside of West Forsyth, maybe some of the trainers or academies that have helped you.
United Football Academy is the club I play for, UFA, and they have tremendously developed me as a player. I have everything to thank to them. I had coaches, Coach Iggy, Coach Allen, and Coach Rafiq at UFA, and I have to thank them for everything. All my opportunities would not have been possible without them.
And then you guys will play at River Ridge tomorrow night. You guys have had a couple weeks off, or maybe a week and a half, but how excited are you for just the rest of the season and what you guys can accomplish?
We're really excited. We're ready to show everyone what we've been working hard for and just ready to win it again.
Absolutely. Marlee, thank you so much for joining us again. Best of luck the rest of the season and the future. We can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. There goes Marlee. Very special. Hayden, just real quick, such a talented, versatile athlete. Do you think she's one of the best to come to this stage?
She's definitely one. There's a few players. I think Pope has 2 or 3. I think Blessed Trinity has 1. But definitely when you look at her, she has to be at least in that top 2 or 3 players in the state.
Yeah, and it's also rare to see her reclassify. That's how talented. We've seen it happen a couple times in football, Juju Lewis, but that's how good she is. But that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back here at noon tomorrow. Go to scoreatl.com for more info.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.